Hi guys, in this video I would like to talk about crippled root. That is a root that has a lot of its capabilities removed. So we are familiar with the normal root user or the administrator in Linux, where you have the full power to do everything, and that's what I'm running right now. On this desktop, I have the full administrator rights. However, in these containers, if I start any one of these containers, I will then be running as crippled root inside the container. And I wanted to show you what I mean by that. It's the root user or the administrator, but with a lot of capabilities stripped out. Now, I'll get a bit technical here because I'll show you how you can start up a container and from a terminal. And you can see some interesting information if we do that. When we click on one of these, like the Excalibur container, for example, what actually will run will be this little script here. So you use a bin, okay, and there's a little program just here called, it's actually a little script. I'll just right click and open it so you can see very quickly. That's all it is, okay. EasyOS Excalibur Easy, and that will actually start the Excalibur container. Now, we can actually do that in a terminal. So if I have a terminal and I do the same thing, EasyOS Excalibur Easy, that will start the Excalibur container. It's interesting to do that if you have a problem with the container not starting, because then you can see any error messages that will come out. Let's start it, shall we? Let's start it and see what happens. And we're inside the container. Now, I've got a different wallpaper, as you can see here. This container is now running as crippled root. Okay, everything's still working. You can still install packages. You can do most things. You run the browser, and that works as we talked about with applications can run as their own user. That still happens. If I start this browser, it's a Chromium browser, it will run as user Chromium. So that's where you get these levels of security. Chromium runs with its own sandbox. It will also run as user Chromium, and then we're inside a container which is crippled root. So 3 levels of security before you can get out into the main desktop. Okay, let's exit from there. And I'll also kill the container. See down here? You can kill it. Well, I won't do it yet. No, firstly, let's look at what happened. So I started it up and a whole lot of information came out. This is showing the final command that was run to start the container. And I just wanted to show you that there's something called Linux capabilities. And notice this here, -- caps equals all. That means apply all of the Linux capabilities that the root user would have, but after that, take away these ones. And these are all different Linux capabilities. For example, make nod, that means you cannot make, actually I don't know, I don't want to get too technical here. You can look these up. So these are different capabilities that the root user would normally have, and we're taking them away. So you're still the root user inside the container, but all of these capabilities have been removed. And you can select which ones you want to remove. If you want to read up on that topic, I'll just show you on the internet. You can just do a search for Linux capabilities, and you can get a web page like this. Has man pages, and this goes through and shows you all of those different capabilities and what each one does. So the negative over here means that capability has been taken away. So you can go down and you can, like that make nod here, for example, that I mentioned. Create special files using the make nod utility. So that particular capability has been taken away. Admin is another one. Perform network-related operations. So in the container, although we are much less capable in what we can do, it's still okay to run most packages, install packages and run them. Systems level operations, though, you'll find are going to be very much curtailed. There is an exception, though. This container here, the devx container, That is a special one. When you go into that one, you'll find that it has all of the Linux capabilities still there. So it will have the full root user capabilities. The reason for that is because it's a special case. It's an environment where we want as much power as possible because we're going to be compiling and doing development. So you're inside a container, so you still are locked in for security reasons, of course. You're isolated from the main desktop, but it's very lightweight security. Okay, that's a special case. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention was, so that's a little bit technical. There's something else that everyone, I think, this is very exciting. You go down here to shut down, and I haven't shown this in any of the videos so far, but we've got this special thing called reboot lockdown in RAM. Now, what that will do, if we select that, there's a whole lot of explanation here. What that will do though, when you reboot, so we select one of these radio buttons here, and then we choose reboot. When you reboot, the easy.sfs file will get copied into RAM, and you'll be running completely in RAM, as we are right now, with a big difference. You'll be running completely in RAM as crippled root. Okay? So this is the normal desktop. We've got the full root capabilities. What this one will do is it will boot up, and you'll have the desktop, everything, but you'll be in crippled root. And there's two different types. One is just a fairly lighter weight one, crippled root. This one goes one step beyond that and actually disables the internal drives. So these drives here, the internal drives down the corner there, you won't even see them on the screen. And you can't mount them, you can't access them. So this here really locks you out. I mean, you're running in RAM, you can't access the drives, and you can't even save the session. But you can under certain circumstances. Because you can't save, I mean, if you've got the EasyOS installed on the internal drive, when you boot up, you can't save to it. However, if you boot up EasyOS on a USB stick, you will be able to save. Because there's one interesting thing about this. In fact, I think I've mentioned it up here. At boot up, the sessions folder and SFS files will be copied from the working partition, and then all partitions unmounted. This is a security measure, so at shutdown no trace will be left. The second radio button is even more secure. The drives are disabled, so you cannot mount them. However, you can plug in a USB drive if you want to save something. And in fact, if you have booted from a USB drive, you will be able to save the session to it. So it's just the internal drives that have been locked out. And it says it here, although running totally in RAM, a save icon on the desktop will allow optional saving. Well, no, I've got to be careful about that sentence. Just leave that sentence out for a moment. In this particular mode, you won't be able to save at all to the internal drive. Okay. Now, you can make it permanent. Without ticking that little checkbox there, it will only happen once. When you reboot, you'll be in the special lockdown mode, running as the crippled root, no access to the internal drive, in that one anyway. But then the next boot up, you'll be back to normal boot up, back onto this normal desktop that you see right here. Unless you tick this permanent. If you tick it permanent, then every boot up, you'll just be going straight into the lockdown mode. If you want to get out of it and back to the normal boot up, what you have to do is, in the initrd, there's an earlier video showed the initrd as a little menu. It will offer you the option of changing back to normal boot up. So you will be able to get back into normal boot up again. Now, there are some EasyOS users who love this particular mode, just for absolute security. There are no containers in it. You don't need them. It's like a big container. You're locked in a container, crippled root. You can't access the drives. Very, very secure. So I thought I'd mention that one. It's something worth exploring. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. The whole concept of crippled root is fascinating. Right. So let's let's kill Excalibur now. So kill it. There we go. and it's showing you what it's done to close it down. And there we go. Okay, that's enough. Hi guys, I just thought of something else that I would like to mention. If we go up to Setup, EasyOS, and choose Easy Containers, this is for managing the containers, and it has a tab here where you can see all the settings for the security levels for the containers. And you can choose a container down here, like the DevX, for example, or Excalibur, and then you can set the settings, and then you can update the security options. And you'll notice here that here are the capabilities rather. Ticking one of those will drop a little selection of capabilities. Okay. But there are more things that you can do here, like there's another thing called namespaces. You can unshare namespaces. That's another mechanism, security mechanism. Okay, and that's certain boxes are ticked there as well. This is to do with the X server, how it's isolated from the main X server. We have a nested X server called Zephyr, and there's different ways in which we can communicate with the main X server. And over here we can specify access to, like the network, for example, access to sound and shared folder, and also even accelerated graphics. We can disable access to accelerated graphics. This is all a work in progress. It's working very well, but it's still a work in progress because containers, to do it properly with all of the security, it's very complicated. Because I designed it, I did it from scratch. So instead of adopting a ready-made container mechanism, but it's looking good anyway. It's working quite well, even though I still consider it to be a work in progress, and there are little bits and pieces that I know about that need more work. Okay, I thought I'd mention that.